Hi, I'm Taz from Taslima Maya Art. Thank you for being here, and today I'm going to be painting a Little Robin Redbreast using watercolour. This is a step-by-step tutorial for complete beginners. I hope you like it. So today on Texture and More Thursdays, we've got the lovely Betty from Oak by Bettina up after me, so please do watch her. Her link is in my description box below. And thank you to all of my wonderful Patreon and YouTube channel members for all your support to keep this channel going. So let's paint a Little Robin Redbreast with watercolours. So for this painting you'll need a few essential items, a mixing palette to begin with, and some watercolour paper. This is A5 watercolour paper, a number of brushes from fine detail brushes to a round or mop brush. You'll also need a watercolour paint set, and this can either be professional or student grade depending on what stage you're at. This is mine. And you'll also need some clean, fresh water. I'm going to tape my watercolour paper down to some cardboard to keep it stable and stop it from moving around. This also helps you if you want to pick up the watercolour paper and tilt the paints to create different effects. The first step is to apply a liberal amount of water across the top of the surface of the paper. And what this does is allows me to put paints down which create a bit of a fuzzy edge, which is what I want. So as you know, I'll be painting a watercolour Robin Redbreast on this, and it's the first time I'm doing this, so super exciting. And you can see I've covered my entire paper with water and I wait for it to semi-dry. For this painting I use a limited colour palette of the following colours: burnt sienna, raw umber, black, yellow ochre, cadmium red and orange. I am using cold pressed watercolour paper which has a nice texture to prevent warping. It's roughly 200 GSM. But the thicker the paper the better. I begin by laying down a light wash of warm colour with burnt sienna and raw umber, and then I add in some cadmium red and orange. The latter colours for the robin's chest and belly. I'm using a wet on wet technique for control. I gradually add layers to build up the colour from light to dark, allowing each layer to dry before applying the next to avoid muddying the paint. My colours are diluted with water to soften the transition between shadows and highlights. Once I've shaped the body, I go in with a fine brush to add the beak and the robin's eyes and other fine details around the feathers. The eyes should be dark and round with a tiny highlight to give it life. I then move on to adding the wings and the tail feathers. The robin's wings are darker than its body, so I apply layers of darker brown colours and slightly more dry brush to create texture. The great thing about watercolour is that you can correct any mistakes with a dry brush or with a wet wipe, cotton bud, and you can repaint. Patience is required for each of the layers to dry before adding subsequent layers, otherwise they will be bleeding from one colour to the next. Additionally, you can fix any mistakes. If you accidentally overpaint or need a lighter area, you can use the wet lifting technique to lift some paint off. Just wet the area again with clean water and gently blot with a paper towel. Try not to rush the process. Watercolour is about layering and patience. Next, I'm adding some feathery strokes in the direction of the bird's feathers. Once the basic layers are dry, you can add final details to the robin's chest and back using a very thin brush. Here I'm adding some shading on the underside of the robin, and then I get a dry brush and add some feathers, very wispy bits around the edges. You can then take either gouache or acrylic marker pen. Here I have a Craby acrylic marker in white, and I'm going to add some highlights in the robin's eyes and beak, just to give it some definition. Next up, I add a lovely little tail and a branch for the robin to sit on. Remember that you can also darken areas like the feet, shadowed parts of the wings, and under the beak with darker tones. So now my beautiful 6-year-old daughter Safi is going to sing a little song for you that she learnt at school for her Christmas play. Hope you enjoy it.
We don't want seagulls, we don't want storks, we don't want eagles, we don't want hawks, we don't want buzzards, we don't want bees, but yes we do want some robins, please. We want some robins, that's what we want, with little brown backs, with little brown backs, and little red fronts, and little red fronts, and sticky out tails, and sticky out tails, and fluttery wings, and fluttery wings, and hoppity feet, and hoppity feet, and a voice that sings. We don't want pigeons, we don't want hens, we don't want widgeons, we don't want wrens, we don't want pheasants, we don't want fleas, but yes we do want some robins, please. We want some robins, that's what we want, with little brown backs, with little brown backs, and little red foots, and sticky out tails, and sticky out tails, and fluttery wings, and fluttery wings, and hoppity feet, and hoppity feet, and a voice that sings.
And so my friends, that's it. Here is my beautiful Robin Redbreast finished. I hope you enjoyed the little journey I went on with watercolours, and if you liked it, please do hit the like, share and subscribe buttons and leave me a comment down below. I want to give a big shout out to Betty from Oak by Bettina for being an inspiration for this one. Thank you all for watching.